Sonko taking proactive steps to ensure that this is not an occurrence that happens in any other school in Nairobi. He was there also a bit earlier in the morning to condole the parents, to condole the students, and assured citizens of Nairobi, residents of Nairobi, that his government will be doing all that they can to probe the situation, as well as carry out an audit of the various schools in Nairobi to ensure they are up to standards, that they are safe from any occurrences of fires that could cause what we have witnessed this morning. Again, the cause of the fire is not known, as they try to understand what just happened, what could have caused this occurrence. And of course, hopes that there are no incidences of foul play in this. If we can remember, some time back, there were several dormitory fires here in Kenya in various parts of the country, particularly in secondary schools, many of it spurred by disgruntled students who were not happy with the administration of some of their schools, some of the decisions made planning for exams. However, we do not know what could have led to this particular incident. We know Leila Mohammed has been following this update and trying to find out what more we can learn since this fire broke out at 2 a.m. in the morning. Let's cross back over to Leila Mohammed. Leila, what more information, new information, do you have that you can tell us?
Well, Victoria, like I was telling you before, sorry for that technical hitch, but according to the school board chairman, he says that Form 1 to 3 students are expected back here on the 15th of September, while Form 4 students, who some of their practicals begin early September, are expected back here on the 8th of September. Here now, what is happening is that parents are just taking their children, and they have been asked to take their children as fast as possible and head home so that they can be able to help those who are responding to this disaster to be in a position to do their job well, because most of them are just hanging around, and most are attracted to where the fire began. But police have cordoned off that area, and emergency responders say it is now a crime scene and they just want to go in there and find out what is going on. But we have some leaders who have already arrived here. Ken Okoth, the Member of Parliament for Kibra constituency, has been here for most parts of the morning, just trying to run around and talk to those in positions of seniority here and find out what is actually happening. Maybe we can just take a sneak peek into some of the classes. This stream is for Form 1 students, majority of whom have been heavily affected by this fire early this morning. Their parents just picking their children, heading home. The kids basically just picking their books to go and study while they are home. Majority of them will have to go back home with only that they were wearing, and expected back here in a week or two, after which the school will be in a position to tell them what exactly.
Apologies for the technical hitch. Leila Mohammed there at the Moi Girls School in Kibera, giving us an update. We understand that parents have been told to pick up the students as they try to find out what just happened this morning. We understand also that the Kibera MP, Ken Okoth, has been there to speak to parents, to speak to the school administration as well, to see how else they can help in this situation as they try to make sense of what That occurred at 2 a.m. this morning. The fire broke out at that time, catching a lot of the girls off guard. The concern now is also for the Form 4 students who are having to prepare for the KCSE exams. Not sure how much this will disrupt their preparations. Let's head back over to Layla Mohammed. The signal, I understand, has stabilized. Layla, what more can you tell us?
Well, Victoria, technology is not on our side this morning. However, we shall be trying our very best to bring you the latest from the Moi Girls School, where what's happening now is basically just those students who were affected by the fire heading home, some just picking their books and being signed out by their teachers, their parents only, or the legal guardians that were signed here being in a position to take their children home. We are aware that the school has asked Form 4 students to come back here on the 8th of September, while the rest will be expected back 2 Fridays from now. And basically the rallying call here is now for how the school will heal, and just to find out what really happened here in the morning. Some of the residents who live around Kibra around here say that they had the first signs of trouble around 10 p.m. when they had a loud bang. They were not sure what exactly was happening, but then at around 2 a.m. they started hearing screams from the students, and they were not in a position to access the school because police had already come in with firefighters and emergency responders. So the school was really taking precautions so that the children are also taken care of. Some had to be assembled at the school grounds where they play their sporting games every day, and it is from there that the bell rang about an hour ago for all students to head to their classrooms, and that is where their parents are taking them from there while they head home. They will not be carrying anything other than what they are wearing on their backs. Some of the parents had tried to access that dormitory, but police having to return them back to where there is, they call safety, and now parents are just being asked to clearly, quickly but swiftly leave the premises and let the police and the investigators now go in and find out exactly what happened. We are aware that the Cabinet Secretary for Education was here earlier, and he just offered his message of condolences with the family, as well as Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko. He was here and said that the Nairobi government will be in a position to ensure that this has been investigated to the fullest, and also just to take precautions to ensure that an incident of this magnitude does not happen again in another school in Nairobi County. So the parents here being very sad, most of them trying urgently to find out where their students are or their daughters, but then those
And Layla Mohammed there giving us an update from the Moi Girls School, where the dormitory fire broke out at 2 a.m. this morning. The information that we do have now is that particular dorm that was affected exclusively housed Form 1 students. And as we hear, a lot of the girls who were affected by that, at least one who spoke to the Daily Nation, said that they woke up to smoke. She tried to get to her senses, a lot of screams, students not knowing what was happening. They managed to get out unharmed. However, a lot of the students got burn wounds on their arms and legs. We understand at least 10 are critically injured. I beg your pardon. 10 are injured, but 2 are critically injured. The 8, however, are receiving treatment and should come out okay from that. We also understand now new information. 2 hearse vehicles have made their way to the school. We also understand that 10 students have been reported missing at the Red Cross information desk. The Red Cross there, of course, helping in salvaging the situation, getting information from parents who are trying to find out what happened to their children in this incident. Let's hear what the Education Cabinet Secretary had to say a bit earlier on when he was there speaking to parents and students as well as the school administration. And apologies for that. We'll try to get the audio of that. The Education Cabinet Secretary, he was speaking a bit earlier on and passed on the condolences of the President to the affected families of the students who passed away, 7 of them who passed away in this tragic dormitory fire. He also said that they will be carrying out forensic investigations of what happened from this morning. Those are live pictures on your screen from Moi Girls School in Kibera, where this incident happened. And of course, Leila Mohammed has been keeping us up to date on what has been going on and developing from that story. We also hear that the Kibera MP Ken Okoth had been there to speak to parents, to speak to the school administration, to see what more can be done to help in solving this fire and what caused it. As I said earlier, the dormitory that had been affected was housing Form 1 girls exclusively. So they were the ones who were adversely affected in this. Several girls injured. 10, at least that we can confirm, injured in the incident, 2 of which were critically injured. And the doctors at the Nairobi Women's Hospital are doing all they can to ensure that they come out okay. We understand that the school also has closed for the next 2 weeks. What you're seeing also is parents who are around to pick up their children and take them home as they try to figure out what are the next steps. Of course, this also will be the main issue for the school administration as investigations continue. Also bearing in mind that this is the time that the KCSE candidates are preparing for exams. That has been a weight on their minds, wondering what this means for them as they prepare for the exams. However, we do understand that the Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko said they will take care of them. This should not in any way disrupt their preparations and studies at this time for the exams. But you can only imagine the emotional toll this is taking on them as they prepare for that very critical exam as they cross over into a university. You can see individuals dressed in the overalls for the Mike Sonko rescue team. That is part of Governor Mike Sonko's help team. Whenever they have emergencies, they usually jump into action to help, and we are seeing them there. We know the Red Cross has been there as well. From early in the morning, they have set up an information desk, getting information from families who have not heard from their children yet. We do understand that 10 students have been reported missing at the Red Cross information desk. We also did hear that 2 hearse vehicles have made their way to the school. We have not heard of the death toll changing at all from the reported 7 girls who have died in this incident. Of course, a matter that will be closely followed by various stakeholders to understand just what happened, and also moving forward to ensure that this does not occur again. Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko saying they will do all they can to investigate as well as carry out an audit in the various schools in Nairobi so as to avoid an occurrence like this, an incident like this in the future. He also said they will be working closely with the national government to reconstruct some of the dormitories that have been adversely affected from similar incidents such as fires or any other occurrence that could cause damage to these edifices. However, we are following this news of the fire that broke out at 2 in the morning. We showed earlier pictures of the young girls still in shock, many of them in their pajamas, as you can imagine, wondering what happened. They were still asleep when this broke out at 2 in the morning. There were some prayers going on even as the Education Cabinet Secretary made his way there early this morning. Speaking of which, let's listen in to his statement as he spoke to the parents, the students, and the school administration of Moi Girls a bit earlier on today.
We have already asked the principal to send a message to your parents so that they can come and pick you up and go home with them, so that you can take time to relax a bit. We will also find ways of compensating the time that you are going to lose in the process. So do not be worried about that. We had a very bad accident in your dormitory, and that dormitory is not going to be accessed because we have criminal investigations teams there. We have the police in their full capacity there. We have the government forensic teams led by the government, the chief chemist and the chief pathologist, because we want to get to the bottom of it. I also want to convey condolences from His Excellency the President, who is very saddened about what has happened and instructed us to be here. And he insisted that all the teams must be here and investigate that matter until we get the bottom of it. It was very sad. 10 of you were injured. They are admitted in hospital. 2 of them are a bit critical. The other 8, we have been assured by the doctors, are out of danger. We may actually have lost some of your colleagues in that fire. We are taking account of all of you, especially those who are sleeping in that dormitory, before we can know what exactly happened, but we have lost some of your colleagues. It is very sad and unfortunate. I want to send you condolences on my own behalf and on behalf of the ministry, and I want to tell you that we love you and we will still stand next to you and be with you even as we go through this particular tragedy. So I'll ask the governor to say a word, because we want to allow the parents to start processing to move out of the school with you. But let's with the principal that we are aware that there are some of you who come from very far and that the parents may not arrive in good time. You will be my responsibility. You will be in the school and we will take care of you until your parent comes. So do not be anxious at all. We will make sure that you are taken care of until your parent or your guardian comes to pick you from school, because each one of you is precious and very important to us.
The Education Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i at the Moi Girls School earlier this morning, giving condolences to the bereaved families, as well as an assurance that they will indeed get to the bottom of what caused the fire. They will carry out forensic investigations to ensure that that is brought out to light. If you're just joining us now, 7 girls are dead after a tragic dormitory fire at 2 a.m. 10 have been reported injured. 2 out of the 10 are in critical condition. They are currently at the Nairobi Women's Hospital receiving treatment. Doctors doing all they can to ensure that the girls come out okay. We showed footage a bit earlier on of many of the girls still in their pajamas, a very chilly morning, and a chilling incident that they had to go through after that fire broke out at 2 in the morning. And we've heard from various leaders, including the Nairobi County Governor Mike Sonko, as well as Ken Okoth, the Kibra MP, who has been there following the activities since this fire broke out. We've heard various commitments from leaders saying they will investigate as well as carry out audits of various schools within Nairobi. Those are live pictures from Moi Girls School, where parents are picking up the students. After this incident, we understand that the school has closed for the next 2 weeks as investigations begin. Layla Mohammed has been there for most of the morning and giving us periodic updates on what has been happening. Layla, what more can you tell us at this hour?
Well, Victoria, the situation is pretty much the same. Parents here just picking their children from this school as they leave the facility. Leaders from different disciplines just coming here to condole with the family of Moi Nairobi Girls High School. The Member of Parliament for Kibra constituency now staying here and just waiting to find out the main details of what will be happening here. So it seems like there is somebody who is arriving here. We are not sure who is coming in, but once they drop off, we shall be able to know who it is. Oh, we are now told that it is Honorable Raila Odinga, former Member of Parliament for Langata constituency, in which this facility belonged to. So him just walking and relaying his condolences to the chairman of the board of the school. Maybe if my camera person can just try and get a sneak peek of that conversation as he walks in to the school to find out what is going on here. So that is as far as we can go. Maybe we will get a comment from him once he has spoken to the school administration. But for the moment, the residents of this area say they are mourning together with the school, even as parents continue to pick their children from here. You can see a heavy presence of police here. That particular area cordoned off from the public, this being students, parents and the media not being allowed to go past that wall of policemen from this facility. So we are seeing a big number of officers from the police. This is the information desk by the Red Cross, where anyone who wants to seek information about their daughters who are students from this facility can be able to report here and just to find out details of their loved ones. How are they responding to the situation? When we look outside the school, there is a lot of activity going on out there. So many citizens have come out. We are just seeing a fire truck trying to leave this area, or maybe trying to access. No, they're leaving. These are some of the first respondents that came here really early in the morning just to save the situation. So Vicky, it's been a long day and it's not yet half the day here. So some of those who have been able to access this facility, we shall try our best and see if we can set up outside the main information desk and the administration. So when the Honorable Raila Odinga leaves that area, we shall be able to get for you live what he will be able to speak to in terms of addressing the people who have gathered here this particular moment. Victoria, this is such a sad situation, even for a journalist covering this. Most of us, as you're aware, have gone to school in public boarding schools where such situations we have seen in the past occur, where students have died in such scenarios where fires have consumed many and cost them their lives. So after those very strict regulations that were put in place by the ministry, it was expected that not so many children would be allowed to lose their lives in such a situation. And it's quite a sad morning to hear 7 children have lost their lives. So those are some of the situations where people were really questioning in terms of ensuring that the emergency response in schools has been well taken care of in terms of how do the dormitories look like, what are the emergency exits, in terms of the doors, are they big enough to allow students to be able to move in one stream? And also there's the issue of having bars and grills on the windows. Those are some of the details. Probably media will not be in a position to explain because that area has been cordoned off for the public. So when we were speaking earlier in the day to some members of the security of this area, they were saying, probably my cameraman, I can just get her out of the way before she's hit by a vehicle. We are seeing NDMU official Pius Masai walking in there, so probably we will be expecting a statement from him. Let us just move closer to where the administration block is and just to find out in detail what will be happening here. It's such a sad day, like I had told you earlier, Victoria, and let's just join our other media colleagues to find out what exactly is going on here as in terms of how they are dealing with the situation. Such a sad day. We are joined here, Mheshimiwa, a very good afternoon to you. Pole sana, Beatrice Elachi, the former nominated senator for Nairobi. A very good day to you. A sad day indeed. What are some of your feelings this day?
First of all, I want to send my condolences to the parents who have lost the 7 young girls, but also to send condolences to the whole school. And I know indeed as parents what we feel. I pray that, first of all, God will give them the courage to understand the circumstance now, but also to give them the courage to now face what we are going to face. And I hope we will not do a lot of game blames, but we will try and see what was really the problem. For me, I hope that the school had 2 exits, as I remember when we had such tragedies, and you remember we really brought in a lot of reforms. Number 2, we did not have barriers, or the dormitories were not so full that the girls were not able to come out very fast. It is something that we need to ask, and I'm hoping that, I know parents are also asking a lot of questions. It will be not fair for me to ask at this moment what happened, what really triggered the fire. Was it electricity? What was it? I would leave it to the investigations. But I'm hoping the Ministry of Education is also questioning itself, because I know as Form 1s were coming in, I hope we normally have inspections where we are really aware that we are bringing in kids. What number of kids is the dormitory able to handle? Big numbers. The other thing, I want to go to Nairobi County, and I'm hoping the issue of fire extinguishers. I know there was a time they were given a grant, and there are 13 fire extinguishers lying in Mombasa just because of, I don't know, customs or something. I think it's time, and I know now we have the new Governor Sonko will be able to clear, so that if we had such a quick disaster response, maybe we would have saved, because you know, with mattresses, the way fire spreads so fast. So for me, I hope and I pray that it was not something that would have saved a lot. I'm hoping that when we look at it, we will feel that indeed there's something we can all learn from this. But it is very sad, very, very sad, looking at how the country is now, and then we get into this. I think it is sad for the country, for us Kenyans, and as we have always said, as Kenyans, we hold ourselves and we take everything in courage to move. I am hoping that is what we can help Nairobi Moi Girls to do. You remember girls who are just about to start exams, and I'm praying the parents will go with the girls home, but at the same time, they need a lot of counseling, especially those who are coming to do exams at Form 4. We pray that we can see. We have different disasters that have happened. Do you remember the saga of Loreto? How we managed those children. We are praying we can also handle these girls of Moi Girls to understand. Yes.
What we have been able to see also is councillors from the Amani Institute here in Nairobi, which is not so far away from where we are standing. So we will be on standby here as we wait the Honorable Raila Odinga to come out and just address this situation. And also we, as many Kenyans are waiting for, is to find out from the school what next and how soon will we be in a position to expect information from the authorities. Here there is also some applause from some quarters out there, so we shall be on standby. Victoria here, so probably I can give it back to you in studio.
Thanks, Leila Mohammed there, speaking to leaders who have made their way. We saw Raila Odinga making his way just before noon to speak to the school administration to find out just what happened. That was also part of his constituency when he was a member of parliament. Former nominated Senator Beatrice Elachi raising some very pertinent questions as to how many students were in the dormitory at the time of the fire. Was it over capacity? Were fire extinguishers available? So a lot of questions coming out of this, and of course she bringing out the whole issue of this being a lesson for many of the leaders whose mandate is to ensure that the schools are indeed safe. We'll be checking back in with Leila Mohammed to find out what Raila Odinga's remarks will be after he speaks to the school administration, and I'm sure parents to condole them. We know right now they have been told to pick up students from the school as investigations begin. The dormitory where the girls were affected by the fire was exclusively housing Form 1 students, and so we are not sure how many girls were actually in the dorm when the fire broke out at 2 a.m. this morning. There was also questions about the response of the emergency services, also as we heard from the former nominated Senator Beatrice Elachi, and whether they were able to come there in time. We do understand from witnesses who were there that emergency services did not make it to the location until 2 hours after the fire broke out. So questions as to why that took place, why there was a delay, so to speak, in responding to this, and could this have brought down the casualties of this fire. We do also know that the Red Cross has set up an information desk to take any concerns from family members, from loved ones who have not heard from any students so far. We do know that 10 girls have been reported missing. The Red Cross is also providing psychosocial support to those who do need it. Let's also listen in to the Education Cabinet Secretary, Fred Matiang'i. I understand that we'll be listening in to him after this short break. Again, we are following this tragic breaking news of 7 girls who lost their lives in a tragic dorm fire at Moi Girls School in Kibera. Leila Mohammed standing by, Rose Wangoy at the Nairobi Women's Hospital where the injured are receiving treatment. Let's take a short break, but our coverage continues right here on Decision 2017. Dorm fire at Moi Girls School, where 7 girls have died, 10 are injured. We have been following the activities from the school in Kibera. Leila Mohammed has been there speaking to parents, school administration and leaders who've made their way there. We also have Lois Wangoi, who is at the Nairobi Women's Hospital, where the 10 injured students were taken for treatment. We understand at least 2 are in critical condition. It is a tragic way to begin a Saturday morning, and certainly for those girls who were adversely affected from this. Let's listen in, though, to the Education Cabinet Secretary, Fred Matiang'i, who was speaking a bit earlier on when he visited the school. This is what he had to say.
We have already asked the principal to send a message to your parents so that they can come and pick you up and go home with them so that you can take time to relax a bit. We will also find ways of compensating the time that you are going to lose in the process. So do not be worried about that. We had a very bad accident in your dormitory, and that dormitory is not going to be accessed because we have criminal investigations teams there. We have the police in their full capacity there. We have the government forensic teams led by the government, the chief chemist and the chief pathologist, because we want to get to the bottom of it. I also want to convey condolences from His Excellency the President, who is very saddened about what has happened and instructed us to be here. And he insisted that all the teams must be here and investigate that matter until we get the bottom of it. It was very sad. 10 of you were injured. They are admitted in hospital. 2 of them are a bit critical. The other 8, we have been assured by the doctors, are out of danger. We may actually have lost some of your colleagues in that fire. We are taking account of all of you, especially those who are sleeping in that dormitory, before we can know what exactly happened, but we have lost some of your colleagues. It is very sad and unfortunate. I want to send you condolences on my own behalf and on behalf of the ministry, and I want to tell you that we love you and we will still stand next to you and be with you even as we go through this particular tragedy. So I'll ask the governor to say a word, because we want to allow the parents to start processing to move out of the school with you. But let's with the principal that we are aware that there are some of you who come from very far and that the parents may not arrive in good time. You will be my responsibility. You will be in the school and we will take care of you until your parent comes. So do not be anxious at all. We will make sure that you are taken care of until your parent or your guardian comes to pick you from school, because each one of you is precious and very important to us. So, Governor.
We've inspected the school. We've assessed the damage. As you go home, know that you have our support. We are going to partner with the national government and your school. As we do the renovation and construction of the dormitories, we've learned a lesson. We are going to inspect other schools, both private and public schools in Nairobi. We must have sufficient exits from our dormitories to the main gate, to the main exits of all our schools in Nairobi County. And again, on behalf of all the residents of Nairobi County, on behalf of my county government, I wish to convey my condolences to all the bereaved families. May the Almighty God rest the souls of all the deceased in eternal peace. You have our support, and God be with you as you go home. Thank you very much.
Education Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i, Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko there speaking at the Moi Girls School, condoling the bereaved families as well as the action they will be taking to investigate the matter. We heard a very soft-speaking Education Cabinet Secretary. We're so used to hearing a very strong bravado coming from him, usually during such incidences, but saying for the girls whose parents are not not able to pick them up in time, they will take care of them until their parents or guardians are able to pick them up from the school. The school will be closed for the next 2 weeks as investigations begin. We do understand that, of course, the Education Cabinet Secretary and Nairobi Governor were not the only leaders who were there. We saw Raila Odinga make his way there just before noon. We also do know that the Kibra MP, Ken Okoth, is also there speaking to parents, school administration, and students as well. Those are live pictures of what's happening at the school right now. As you can see, heavy security presence. They are cordoning off that particular area, the dorm that was affected by the fire at 2 a.m. this morning. It is a no-go zone for anyone who trying to get to that particular area, apart from parents and guardians who are picking up students from the school. Leila Mohammed has been there from early morning. Leila, what more can you tell us in this 12 o'clock hour?
Well, Victoria, what you're seeing on your screen here is just a miscommunication between some of the officials who came here with the Honorable Raila Odinga. He has just tried to access that dormitory, but some of his entourage have been asked to stay behind, and there was a bit of altercation between them and police officers here. It was quite tricky for even journalists to walk here because there was a wall of police officers with strict instructions not to access this facility. The Honorable Raila Odinga having met with school administration for some time and just asking to get his way to where the fire broke out hours ago. And so the heavy presence of police here is really sounding very hard for some of those who have been affected to be here. That the tempers are not only high in terms of the physical fire, but also the emotions of many here is pretty dull at the moment. We were expecting the Right Honorable Raila Odinga to speak to the media, but he says he will not be in a position to speak to us until he accesses that site and to ensure that he has a great picture of what is happening. Probably seeing pictures, he coming out here being accompanied by Japheth Koome, the commander of police for Nairobi County, and probably maybe he will be in a position to speak to the media after being given access to this facility. Let's listen.
I thought you were set up there. I told you I was coming back.
They're like vultures.
Nilikuwa nafikiri mnaningoja huko. Yes. Okay. Bas. Well, this is a great tragedy that has fallen this school, the Moi Girls, here in Kibra. This is a school that is very well known to me. Remember, I used to be a member of parliament for this area, and I've done a lot of work for development in this school. So when I got this information, I was shocked. It's very shocking that we should lose 8 lives of young girls who are in high school here in this school, and that got a number are also in critical condition in other hospitals in the city. We all pray and wish them recovery. We would like to mourn with the parents who have lost their children in this great tragedy that has befallen this school. It is a great pity that we should lose such young Kenyans in this way. They have not yet established the cause of fire. Seeing that the officials of the government are working around the clock. There are experts who are within the precincts there, carrying out a lot of investigations. And the area, as you can see, has been cordoned off for security because it's a scene of an accident. We hope that they're going to be able to come to the root cause of this accident. It is a big tragedy indeed. We're told that the fire started at night around 2 a.m. and nobody knows the cause of this fire. We, at this moment, don't want to speculate. We really want to leave it to the hands of experts to investigate and tell us the cause of this. You remember sometimes last year we had these fires in schools in the country. We do not want to believe that it is something similar to this. I saw the Minister for Education here earlier on, and he gave an assurance that they were going to do everything possible to get to the root cause of this matter. So we want to leave it at that.
Raila Odinga, kindly, yes, you can just paint for us a picture of what you have seen inside, because even for the media, we have not been able to gain access into the accident site.
Well, I did not go into the building. I was allowed access up to somewhere around the building. So I can see that the building is burnt, the roof has caved in. But it's the middle of that building. That's the one that was affected. It's a long building, double-story, but it would appear that the fire started somewhere in the center of that building. They don't know, as was mentioned, how that fire started. It could be electric. It could have been caused by somebody smoking or whatever. It is a very, can you say, unpleasant scene to behold. But I'm told there are 8 charred bodies which are in there. They are doing DNA tests so that they can be able to establish who is who in there. We really, I appreciate the reason why they have cordoned off the area so that they can be able to carry out proper investigations. Okay?
Maybe the principal could have briefed you for those ones that have survived and they've been rushed to hospital. We understand they were 10 to in critical condition. Have they been given any report as far as their degree of burns is concerned?
Yeah, of those ones I'm told that the 3 are in critical condition. The others have got superficial burns, so they will be treated and some of them will be discharged. But as you know, a number of children who are here also have undergone trauma. And that's the real reason why the school has been closed. Some of them are getting some counseling by Red Cross officials and so on. They say they will reopen the school in 2 weeks' time. As you know, the exams are coming, so you really don't want these children to lose too much time, which they need for their education. So they will be opening the school. I'm told also that the county government is also going to help with the reconstruction of the dormitory. I think that this school needs a lot of prayers and support so that they can reconstruct and get on with the work, and that the children are not adversely affected in their education at this very critical time. As you know, exams are coming. Okay.
As an area member of parliament, Mheshimiwa Ken Okoth, I don't know whether there's anything you could tell us. Of course, you've been an area member of parliament. Do you have anything that can be done from CDF maybe to also help the situation as it is?
Actually, my only word to add on to what the Prime Minister said is to ask us to allow the parents whose daughters are missing or the parents whose daughters are injured to be able to get the services they need. Red Cross is here, the government officials are here, the investigators are here. And we have had a challenge giving that attention and service to those families. So out of respect, I am asking please everyone to clear the school within the next 20 minutes so that the professionals who are doing the recovery and taking care of the crime scene, as well as responding to the emotional needs of the families whose children have been directly affected. If you're in the school compound and your child has already been cleared, please leave the school. If you're in the school compound simply as a curious visitor, you're really trespassing now. Please allow us the dignity and the respect to take care of those families. Rebuilding a dormitory is not a big challenge. We will be able to do that through the cooperation of the ministry, the county government, but it will be very hard to get back their lives, and I think everybody can, out of fairness and human dignity, appreciate the trauma and the challenges that the families are facing, and that the presence of all these cameras and the attraction to this scene by the crowd is really just stopping us from getting on with the work that needs to be done. So I beg, I urge you, let's respect that. Let's clear out the school in the next 10 or 15 minutes and give a chance to those families to get the services they need as they look for their daughters and for the response agencies to finish their work. Thank you very much.
And maybe before you leave, have they confirmed to you how many students are at dormitory during the time of the
Please, no more questions. Thank you very much. Let's clear the school. Tafadhali to clear school, tusaidiane. Asanteni kwa ushirikiano wenu.
This is the headmistress.
Bwana Raila.
No, no, it's okay.
Kwa lugha ya Kiswahili tu labda tuelezee yale ripoti ambayo umeweza kupata kutoka kwa wasimamizi wa shule hii ni ipi?
Huyu ndio ni mkurugenzi wa shule hii. Vile mnavyojua ni ajali ambayo ilifanyika usiku. Wanasema ajali hii labda ilianza saa 8:30 usiku na ni ya moto. Moto imeteketea na ikaumiza wasichana wengi ambao walikuwa wanalala katika hiyo bweni. Yani inasemekana kama wasichana 8 wanaonekana wamefariki. Wengine wamepata majeraha, wamepelekwa kama hospitali ya kupata matibabu. Kama miongoni wale kuna watatu ambao wanaonekana wamepata majeraha mbaya sana. Kuna wengine ambaye majeraha yao sio mbaya zaidi. Mpaka leo, mpaka sasa haijulikani ni kitu gani ilisababisha moto hii kuanza. Sasa wanafanya uchunguzi, wataalamu kwa kule ndani na madaktari ambaye wanajaribu kutafuta ili julikane zile mzoga ambazo ziko pale ya nani na ya nani. Hiyo ndio sababu polisi wamezuia watu wasiingie huko ndani ili waweze kufanya uchunguzi ya kutosha julikane ni nani na ni kitu gani ilisababisha huu ajali. Okay. Sasa sisi tunataka kutuma risala la rambirambi kwa jamii, wazazi ambaye watoto yao wameteketea katika ajali hii. Tunawaambia poleni sana kama Wakenya wakati huu. Hii ni ajali mbaya zaidi ambayo imetupata sisi kama mkasa. Kwa hivyo wakati huu tumesema tunataka uchunguzi ifanyike hapa, ila vile vile ili wazazi wapate msaada. Sasa shule imefungwa kwa wiki mbili. Kuna watoto wengine ambayo sasa bado wanapewa counseling na wale wataalam. Manake hii mambo inapiga watu sengine na butua na inaweza kuleta majeraha mengi zaidi psychologically. Kwa hivyo vile wamesemekana sasa, wamesema wanataka raia watoke hapa ili waendelee na kazi yao.
Hapo awali tulikuwa tumeambiwa kuwa ni wanafunzi 7 ambao walipoteza maisha yao, alafu umetaja 8. Labda huenda ikawa, na kuna wazazi ambao wanasema bado hawajui watoto wao wako wapi. Huenda ikawa idadi hii ni zaidi ya hao 7 au 8 ambao wametajwa.
Sijui wakati huu inaonekana ni 8, lakini sasa hatujui kama zingine zitapatikana baadaye. Ndio.
Labda msimamizi tu wa shule atuelezee.
She's not addressing the media. So the minister already spoke in the morning.
Thanks.
NASA presidential candidate Raila Odinga there addressing the press, accompanied by Member of Parliament, Kibra constituency, Ken Okoth, and the principal of Moi Girls Nairobi Secondary School there. The lady not being in a position to speak to the media, as they have clearly said she has been heavily traumatized by that incident that occurred at 2 a.m. Raila Odinga confirming that 8 students have been reported dead from that fire that happened in the morning. He just painted a picture for us in terms of what he saw, because he had access into this facility. He says he appreciates why the police and other fire responders have not been able to allow access into that facility, as he says there's still some bodies which are charred that are in that particular facility. He describes the building as having the roof having caved in to a certain degree, and he says it is a one-story building, and he says the situation that he has been able to see there was very saddening. Of course, he says he was not in a position to access inside that facility, but what he saw, he says he appreciates why there is that ban for people not to be able to access that facility. He says that it is now being left to the authorities to ensure that they get to the bottom of the matter as far as finding out what was the cause of that fire. He gave his reasons, saying that probably it could have been a fire caused by an electric fault or maybe a cigarette, but those are details that will be given later. But when he was able to speak to some of the students, they gave us vivid descriptions of what they saw in terms of seeing their friends there in such a situation where most of them say they will not forget for as long as they live, and they are saying they saw such sad things, some of them burning alive, and most of them could be not in a position to help their colleagues. So we will be heading back to the other side of this facility, where we will be bringing for you live incidents of what is happening, because as it's now, the police officers are asking the media personnel to vacate this area for security purposes. So I'll take you back to Studio Victoria as we head back to a place where we will be safe and out of this area that has been cordoned off by police.
All right, many thanks there, Lily Mohammed, who has been keeping tabs on the activities at the Moi Girls Secondary School. We just heard from Raila Odinga. That was his former constituency. He responded in shock to the incident that broke out at 2 a.m. this morning, of course, saying they will wait for the investigations to be completed. The Kibra MP also asking those who are milling around, who are not parents, who are not guardians, who are not school administrators, administration to clear the area to allow the emergency services to carry out their tasks and jobs as they help parents track and trace the missing students. What we do know at this hour that 10 have been reported as missing at the emergency desk of the Red Cross stationed at the school. The Red Cross is also providing psychosocial support to those who need that support and help given the trauma that they are facing right now. And of course, there are other groups, other organizations giving help at this time. We know the Langata Women's Prison also brought supplies to help in the emergency response. That has also come into question from a lot of the leaders who made their way there from earlier in the morning, wondering why it took long for the emergency services to actually respond to the fire. We understand from witnesses that they made their way there at least 2 hours after the fire broke out at 2 a.m. There were also questions as to whether the dorm was over capacity with students who were housed there. We understand that it was Form 1 girls who were exclusively housed in that dormitory. There were also questions as to why the girls were not able to get out of the dorm quick enough once the fire broke out, whether fire extinguishers were indeed available to help respond a bit quicker, at least before emergency services made their way there. So a lot of questions arising from this incident. It, however, not being the only one. We're hearing reporting from one of our colleagues of another fire at Vitale Boarding Primary School in Makueni. No word yet on any casualties there. This just coming in at this hour. Once we do get pictures from that incident, we will be relaying them here on Decision 2017. But as of now, what we are following is the incident at the Moi Girls School, secondary school in Kibera. A lot of reactions flowing in on social media. As you can imagine, many Kenyans concerned, saddened by this tragic news. A lot of Kenyans waking up to this news of 7 girls who have lost their lives in this fire incident. We have feedback here on social media, on Twitter more specifically. Afro Mom saying, I am just from picking my niece, a student at Moi Girls. My heart goes out to all families of the Form 1 students whose dorm burnt down. That being a huge concern. These are girls who have just begun their secondary school years and having to suffer such a tragedy. This here from the Kenya Red Cross that has been there giving search services as well as psychosocial services. The Kenya Red Cross Nairobi County Coordinator receiving first aid materials from Langata Women's Prison at Moi Girls Kibera. So just some of the organizations that have sprung into action to respond to this emergency. Another here from Virginia Mwangi saying, my thoughts and prayers are with the girls and families of the students at my alma mater, Moi Girls School, Nairobi. Of course, the old girls, the alumni of the school, adversely affected and feeling the pain as much as the girls who have been directly affected by this. Rafael Tuju saying, my thoughts are with the parents, fellow students and teachers of Moi Girls School following the fire tragedy this morning. We'll take one more from the Deputy President's wife, Rachel Ruto, saying, sadly, this morning we have lost young, innocent lives following the tragic fire incident at Moi Girls School in Nairobi. Let's cross over now to State House where remarks are being made. Let's listen in.
Maspika zetu wa National na Senate. Dawa ya deni ni kulipa. Kila mmoja wetu akiwa hapa, mkono wa Uhuru Kenyatta na William Ruto ili kufikia wakati wa kura. Tafadhali tulipe deni ya Uhuru Kenyatta. nikupe. Ndio dawa ya sasa. Unipe mimi nitakupa. Mzao alisema wakihesabu tutahesabu. Bas, Your Excellency, with those very many remarks, hii mkutano ni mzuri, wewe lala 4-4. Usikuwe na wasiwasi. Wewe ulishinda kesi ya ICC. Hii ni kesi kidogo sana. Na Kiambu tunataka ipige 1.2 million baba yao. Safari hakuna 900, 1.2 kila mtu. Ile kura ya mwisho tutapiga. Your Excellency, with those many remarks, let me invite waziri wetu wa ugatuzi Mangi Kiunjuri.
Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya Uhuru Kenyatta, makamu wa rais, viongozi mbalimbali, viongozi wa machinani, MCs, hamjaboni wote. Mimi nitasema machache. Mnajua tarehe 8 mwezi wa 8 kulikuwa na Mungu. Na yule Mungu alikuweko tarehe 8 mwezi wa 8 bado ndiye ile Mungu wako. Na tarehe 8 mwezi wa 8 kulikuwa na Wakenya ambaye walitoa uamuzi wao. Na wale Wakenya bado ni wao Wakenya bado wako. Na wakafanya uamuzi wao. Na unajua uamuzi ni mara mbili. Kuna yule uamuzi wa binadamu hapa duniani. Na kuna ule uamuzi wa Mungu. Na wewe Rais Uhuru Kenyatta, mimi niko na furaha na yale yalitokea jana. Kwa sababu mzungu husema for every dark cloud there is a silver lining. Umepata sasa nafasi ya turudi uchaguzi. Na wakati huu wa Kenya na dunia mzima itajua kweli ni nani sasa kiongozi wa Kenya. Na kwa mara ya kwanza Kenya sasa itakuwa na nafasi ya kujua viongozi wake wako namna gani. Na historia inajirudia. Manake saa hii tunaongea hakuna wachezaji wengine. Nyani ni wale wale, kichaka ni kile kile. Wale watu mpango yao ni ile ile. Wewe jana rais ulikubali uamuzi, ukaenda machinani tena. Wale watu wamerudia ile mpango yao tena. Miezi 8 kabla uchaguzi walikuwa kwa hoteli na boardroom wakiongea. Wakati huu rais nataka kukuhakikishia wako kwa boardroom mahali pale Karen wakizungumza tena. Hawako kwa wananchi tena. Watu walikuwa ni 3 kwa uchaguzi na Wakenya wanajua. Na walipata kura gapi? Rais Uhuru Kenyatta milioni 8. Wale watu wa NASA wakanasa yao 6. Na watatu alikuwa ni yule mtu anaitwa kura imeharibika. Kwa hivyo hakuna mtu mwingine anakuja. Wale tu walipiga ni wale wale. Na ni wao watatu watarudi tena. Sasa mimi najiuliza wale watu wataenda wapi kuchukua wengine wa kuwasaidia? Mimi najua wale walipata uamuzi wakashtuka. Manake wamekanyaga makaa na wengine wameshikilia kwa mkono. Wanajiuliza jameni, wewe Maraga umetupatia uamuzi twende wapi? Na wananchi wako na wenyewe. Na Kenya imejishora vizuri vile wa Kenya wako. Kwa hivyo mimi rais, mimi naomba tutulie, turudi kwa uwanja tena, watu wafanye uamuzi wao. Webe ni yule ule. Wale vile tuliwanyoa tutanyoa vile vile. Lakini sasa tutaongezea webe ili kichwa wakiwa bali wanaonekana na watu ina shine vizuri sana. Kwa haya mengi na machache jameni, wacha nichukue nafasi hii. Manake mimi si mwanasiasa, nimuite Bwana Lusaka. Mimi kazi yangu ni ya mkono tu, kidogo kidogo nitapeana chakula ile kidogo kidogo tena ili tuendelee mbele. Bwana Lusaka, Speaker of the Senate. Karibu.
Basi Mheshimiwa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta, Mheshimiwa Naibu wa Rais William Ruto, viongozi wetu wa bunge zetu mbili, Governor Mvurya, viongozi ambao wako hapa, magovernors, masenators, MCS na viongozi wote, Bwana asifiwe. Asalamu alaykum. Mimi kwanza nichukue nafasi hii Mheshimiwa Rais kwa njia ya kipekee Nikushukuru sana sana kwa nafasi hii na chama cha Jubilee kunipa nafasi kama speaker wa bunge letu la Senate. Nafikiria mimi ndio beneficiary wa kwanza wa Jubilee, na nataka niulize watu wa Bungoma mko hapa. Mimi sasa nimekuwa mtu ya order. Mtu ya order. MCA wa Bungoma tafadhali simama. Asante sana. Mkirudi mashinani tueleze watu wetu ile ukarimu tumeona. Na niwahakikishie Mheshimiwa Rais kwamba ile ilikuwa 30% itakuwa 70%. Tutarudi, tutaongea na watu wetu, and I can assure you mambo itakuwa swari. Everything has a reason for happening. Na Mungu anajua ni kwa nini hii imefanyika, na najua Mungu atasimama na sisi. Mungu atatupeleka mbele. Kwa wale wote ambao mmepita, congratulations. Congratulations, congratulations. Na najua mmepigiwa kura, na najua watu siasa hizi. Mmepitia kwa makali, lakini najua Mungu atatuongoza. Hata mimi kule Senate nitafanya kazi yangu kutumia ujuzi wangu wote, because I know nitakuwa naakilisha kila mtu, na nitakuwa not let you down in my performance. Kwa hayo machache, kwa heshima kuu, nimwalike Mheshimiwa Naibu wa Rais aje azungumze na sisi. Karibu sana.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Speaker wa Senate, kiongozi wetu na Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta, waheshimiwa wote wenzangu kutoka governor, senators, members of parliament na MCAs. Hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Nafikiri vile imesemekana hapa sasa inaonekana tunarudi kazi. Kwa hivyo wacha nianze. Ambe. Sasa nafikiri hiyo mambo tena imerudi. Harambe. Jubilee. Jubilee. Sasa story imeanza tena. Kwanza mimi nataka nichukue nafasi hii nimshukuru Mungu kwa kutupatia ushindi mkubwa tarehe 8 mwezi wa 8. Hata ingawaje kuna wale wameenda kutuangaisha mahali pengine kule kotini, sisi tunawashukuru wa Kenya kwa sababu walitambua uongozi wa rais na wakatambua manifesto ya Jubilee na wakatupatia viongozi wengi. Nataka pia nichukue nafasi hii ya kipekee kumshukuru kiongozi wetu wa chama, Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta. Wengi wenu hamjui kwa sababu hamuna nafasi kama ile mimi niko nayo ya kukaribia rais kila siku. Waswahili wanasema mkiona vyaelea ujue vimeundwa. Ukiona Jubilee imefika mahali imefika, it is we are tarehe 8 mwezi wa 8, Wakenya zaidi ya milioni 15 walienda kupiga kura. Ni kweli ama si kweli? And we want to say from here today that Jubilee and President Uhuru Kenyatta won the elections on the 8th of August fair and square. Ni kwa nini tunasema hivyo? Tulishinda kura ya rais. Na ukiangalia, na tunasema hapa leo, kuanzia MCS, kwenda kwa wabunge, kwenda kwa maseneta, kufika kwa women reps mpaka governors, tulishinda majority katika kila kiwango. Wacha mimi niwaeleze. Kura ya MCA katika Kenya, tuko na ma MCA 800 wamechaguliwa na Jubilee kwa MCA 1400 ya Kenya. Kwa ma MCA 1400 Kenya mzima, MCA 800 wamechaguliwa na Jubilee, meaning 56% of all MCAs elected in Kenya were elected in the Jubilee Party and our affiliates. Ukienda kwa senators, kati ya ma senators waliochaguliwa 47, ma senators 27, 58% of all senators elected in Kenya were elected in Jubilee and our affiliates. Ukienda kwa wabunge 290 waliochaguliwa, wabunge 169 wamechaguliwa kwa chama ya Jubilee, meaning 59% of all elected members of the National Assembly were elected in the Jubilee Party. Ukienda kwa governors, kati ya governors 47 ni governors 29 waliochaguliwa kwa chama ya Jubilee, kumaanisha 62% of all governors elected in Kenya were elected in Jubilee and our affiliates. Ukienda kwa kina mama, kati ya kina mama 47, kina mama 31 wamechaguliwa kwa chama ya Jubilee and our affiliates, meaning 66% of women elected as women representatives in Kenya, 66% were elected in Jubilee. Sasa niwaulize, wanasema hatukushinda uchaguzi. Ni mahali gani hatukushinda uchaguzi? Tulishinda ya MCA, tulishinda ya wabunge, tulishinda ya maseneta, tulishinda ya women rep, tukashinda ya governors. Where did they win this election? And we want to put it on record so that it is obvious that we are unapologetic about our win in this election. And we are not going to succumb to any intimidation and blackmail from the court to forgo our win. We won this election fair and square. Maraga na watu wake wajue. Na ndipo tunauliza, sisi ni watu ambao tunaheshimu sheria. Sisi ni watu ambao tunaheshimu katiba. Lakini haimaanishi ya kwamba sisi ni wajinga. Yes. Sisi si wapumbavu. Tunataka kumuuliza Bwana Maraga na wale watu wake watatu wengine, inawezekanaje kwamba tumeshinda kiti ya MCA kwa wingi, tumeshinda kiti ya wabunge, tumeshinda kiti ya women rep, tumeshinda ya senator, tumeshinda ya governor, alafu unatuambia hatujashinda kiti ya rais? What kind of logic? Hizo uchaguzi zote 6, ya MCA, ya bunge, ya governor, ya women rep, ya senator, yote ilisimamiwa na IEBC, ile ilisimamia kura ya rais. Na hiyo story inaendelea namna hiyo. Sisi tunauliza, lazima tuseme ukweli bwana. Wasituone ya kwamba tunaheshimu sheria na katiba, waone sisi ni wajinga. We are not fools. Mimi vile vile nataka niulize, kwa sababu pale kotini wamekubali ya kwamba Wakenya walipiga kura milioni 15. Hakuna utata wowote kwa zile kura alizopigiwa rais ama mpinzani wake. Hakuna utata wowote ya kusema kura ya fulani ilihamishwa kutoka kona hii ikapelekwa mahali pale. Ati kuna utata ati ni karatasi gani ilitumiwa kunakili kura ngapi alipata rais na kura ngani alipata mpinzani wake. How is it possible that there is no contest about the number of votes each candidate got? The contest is that there was a form that had a problem, that there was a problem with the transmission. What kind of democracy is this? Because democracy is the will of the people. 15 million Kenyans expressed their will and made their verdict known. Hata kama ingenakiliwa kwa full scap na ibebwe na mkokoteni, inatosha kwa sababu wa Kenya wameamua. So don't tell us about from this and from that. Don't tell us about this transmission and that transmission. Tell us about the people of Kenya. What did they decide? That is what is important to the Constitution. And don't tell us that it is not important that the people voted. That the only thing that is important is the form on which results were recorded and how it was transmitted. My friends, we may not be learned, but we are not stupid. Na tunataka Maraga atusikie vizuri. Kwa sababu he has had his day. Ours is coming. And by the way, that is not a threat. He has had his day. He has done his game. Our day is coming. Si ni kweli jameni? Wazi watu wasituone ati wataenda kusema mambo Kiingereza mingi hapo. Hapana. No. Hiyo hapana. Wacha tuseme, kwa sababu lazima tuambiane ukweli ya kwamba yale yaliendelea kotini pale, what went on, that a decision was made that overturned the will of 15 million Kenyans by some 3-4 people, and overturned the will of the people, so that the will of a few people in court can prevail. We want to tell them, it is not the Supreme Court that is supreme. It is the Kenyan people that are supreme. And we will prove this shortly. We will prove to them shortly. Wasilewe ya kwamba kwa sababu wanaitwa Supreme Court, wafikiri ya kwamba they are more supreme than the supreme will of the Kenyan people. Wacha niseme ili niweze kukamilisha. IEBC ni independent institution that was set up on the dictates of our opponents. Wao ndio walienda kufanya maandamano, wakafukuza IEBC ambayo ilikuweko, sisi tukawa wangwana, wakaleta IEBC hii. Sisi tunataka kuwaambia, my friends, hawawezi kutuzungusha tena. IEBC hii ndio itasimamia uchaguzi inayokuja. This is the IEBC. Wao wenyewe hawawezi tena kutufanyia maandamano watubadilishe. Hapana. Na mimi nataka niseme hivi. Hii IEBC, niulize watu wa NASA, the same IEBC that is going to preside over the repeat of the presidential election is the same IEBC that presided over the election of their governors, of their senators, of their members of parliament, of their women reps, of the MCAs. If they have a problem with this IEBC, then they should ask all their officials elected by this IEBC or their elections to resign so that we can know they are serious, that this IEBC has a problem. My friends, you cannot have your cake and eat it. Yes, lazima tuambiane ukweli. Huwezi kutuambia ya kwamba hii IEBC iko na matatizo na nyinyi tayari mumeenda kwa kula kiapo ya MCA, ya women rep, ya MP, ya senator, ya governor wa chama chenu. Sijui kama tunaelewana. So, lazima tuelewane. We need to draw the line clearly. Hatuwezi kukubali ya kwamba hii IEBC tuanze tena mzunguko ingine. Kwa sababu tunajua their interest is that they don't want an election. Hii kizungu yote ya kusema IEBC ijafanya, IEBC iko na makosa, IEBC iko na hii, ni kwa sababu hawako tayari kwa uchaguzi ndani ya siku 60, wanataka tuzungushane hapa, muda iishe, ndio tuanze mambo ya nusu mkate. Sisi tunawaambia, my friends, there is no nusu mkate business. It is not part of our democracy. It is the people of Kenya who will decide their leaders. We are not going to have any kangaroo arrangements to set up an illegal government, unconstitutional government ati inaitwa nusu mkate. Kwa hivyo wajipange kwa uchaguzi. Na IEBC wasichelewe, watangaze mara moja ni siku gani, kazi twende kazi. Ndio tu Kenya waamue mambo ikwende mbele. Ama namna gani jameni? Hatutaki kusungushana. So, nafikiri tumekubaliana. And now, kwa sababu tumeshakubaliana, hii kazi imeanza kutoka jana, leo tukienda mbele, the contest is framed for this repeat presidential election. It is a contest where we want to know whether it is who is supreme. Is it the supreme verdict of the Supreme Court or the supreme will of the people of Kenya? And we will demonstrate in the coming 60 days. So kina Maraga na ule mzee akitendawili wajipange. Yes. Kitendawili na watu yake ya kotini wajipange. Kwa sababu Wakenya ndio wataamua. Hatuwezi kukubali ya kwamba kotini itatuamulia viongozi. Hatuwezi kukubali ya kwamba ati viongozi wa Kenya wataamuliwa kwa mikutano, sijui mazungumzo ya kona kona, ndio nusu mkate ipatikane. That is unacceptable to us. We are ready for an election in the next 60 days. We want IEBC to tell us when, so that tuanze kujipanga. Tushakubaliana jameni? Na safari hii tumesema sio 54% ile Uhuru Kenyatta alipata. Safari hii tunasukuma mpaka 70+1. Ndio huyu mjamaa wa kitendawili aende retire. Tumekubaliana jameni? So we are telling our friends wajipange tu ile wamefanya huko. They have had their day. Ours is coming. Ours is coming. Because we shall interrogate everything. We shall interrogate everything. How a Supreme Court made a decision to overturn the supreme will of the people on the basis of things that have nothing to do with the Kenyan voting. Ati sijui form, sijui gani ilikuwa haina, sijui muhuri, sijui ilipeperusha, sijui kwa njia gani. Hiyo ni mambo ya upuzi sana. Wapotee kabisa. Tushakubaliana jameni? Tushakubaliana? Uhuru Kenyatta atakuwa rais tena? And I am saying, Mr. President, we've been here before. The same people walitupeleka mahakama ya ICC ati kutuzuia wa Kenya kupiga kura. The people of Kenya prevailed. Wametupeleka kwa hii koti ya huyu mjamaa Maraga, we want to tell them that again, God and the supreme will of the people of Kenya will prevail. So with those many remarks, ndugu zangu, mimi nataka niwaulize kwa heshima, sasa tusimame, tumkaribishe kiongozi wetu wa Jubilee na rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Asanteni sana. Karibu Mheshimiwa Rais.
Asante sana ndugu yangu. Tafadhali tuketi. Nashukuru. Wenzetu mkiongozwa na spika wetu mpya wa Seneti ndugu Ken Lusaka, viongozi wa bunge letu, kiongozi wa Senate Bwana Murkomen, kiongozi wa National Assembly Bwana Aden Duale, kiongozi mtarajiwa wa Council of Governors Bwana Salim Mvurya, ma-MCA na magavana ambao wako hapa siku ya leo, karibuni. Yangu pia haitakuwa mengi kwa sababu najua bado tulikuwa tumewaalika leo kuandalia chakula ya mchana. Tusherekee ushindi wenu na tupange vile tutasonga mbele. Na hata sasa mbele ya niongee mengine mengi, nataka kwanza kujumuika na wenzangu kushukuru Mwenyezi Mungu. Kushukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa ushindi ambao walitupatia. Ushindi ambao tumeuona kutoka kwenu kuanzia, kwa sababu nyinyi ndio viongozi mashinani, nyinyi ndio askari wa chama kwa grassroots. Nyinyi ndio wakilishi wa kwanza wa raia wa Kenya. Hata mbele afikie nani ni wewe. Wewe ndio umebeba mzigo. Kila asubuhi hata mbele ya utoke nyumbani, mwananchi ndio huyo kwa mlango yako. Wewe ndio wa kwanza, hata ukifika ofisini ndio huyo mwananchi, mtoto ni mgonjwa, mama hana school fee. Si ndio ukweli jameni? Wewe ndio kiongozi wa kwanza. Na ndipo nikasema yastahili tukutane na tuongee pamoja. Mimi nawatakia kila laheri, kwa sababu kazi ambayo mmeanza sio kazi rahisi. Ni kazi ngumu. Na yangu ilikuwa kuwahakikishia, mpango wangu wa leo ulikuwa kuwahakikishia ya kwamba mimi nitawaunga mkono, na yale yote nitaweza kufanya nitafanya kuhakikisha ya kwamba tumerahisisha kazi yenu. Tulipata nafasi juzi kukutana na waheshimiwa wenzenu wa bunge, wa seneti, waheshimiwa wa bunge la National Assembly, na tukaongea pamoja. Pia nikapata nafasi ya kukutana na viongozi wenu wa makaunti ambao ndio magavana wetu, na pia tukapata nafasi ya kuongea. Na mbele ya niende yale ambaye yametukujia jana, lazima kwanza niendelee na yale ambayo nilikuwa nimewaita tujadiliane. Kwa sababu wenzangu, Kenya lazima iendelee. hata tukiwa na hii mambo mengine, Kenya lazima iendelee. Na wakati tulikutana na wajumbe wa Senate na wa National Assembly na pia magavana, tulisema ya kwamba wajua tuko sasa na historia ya ungatuzi, historia ya katiba yetu mpya. Tumesoma. Hatuna nafasi tena ya kusoma. Tumesoma, tumejua. And we have practically experienced those few years. So, kwetu sisi ambao tumekaa hapa, hatuwezi kusema ya kwamba katiba ni new experience. Kuna wale ambao wametutangulia. Si ni kweli? Kuna ma MCA wametutangulia, kuna wajumbe wametutangulia, kuna maseneta wametutangulia. Si ni kweli? So, hii ni nafasi nzuri sana yenu sisi nyinyi, kwa sababu mimi na mwenzangu hapa bado, hiyo tutaongea baadaye. Lakini nyinyi Wakenya wameamua na mko kazini pamoja na maseneta wenu, magavana wenu, pamoja na wajumbe wenu. Mko tayari? Na tukasema ya kwamba sisi wote, na ndipo tumesema tuitane kama wanajubilee. Tumechaguliwa na agenda moja. Hakuna agenda ya Uhuru, hakuna agenda ya governor, hakuna agenda ya MCA. Ni agenda moja. Kwa sababu these people we represent the same people. Au ni namna gani wenzangu? Ya pili, kwa mvumo wa kwanza tukashinda na ugomvi ambaye hata mimi sielewi ilikuwa ugomvi wa nini. Sijui kuna barabara ambaye ni A, sijui kuna barabara ambaye ni F. Twende kotini hawa watu ambao wanafanya hiyo, ati watu waamue ni barabara gani itafanywa ni nani, ni daraja gani itajengwa ni nani. Jameni, unafikiri ya kwamba mwananchi yule ambao una represent anajali ya kwamba hiyo barabara itajengwa na nani? Si haja yake ni barabara? Si haja yake ni maji? Si haja yake ni elimu? Si haja yake ni drainage itengenezwe? Jameni, ule Mkenya ambaye alikuchagua, ule Mkenya ambaye alichagua governor, ule Mkenya ambaye alichagua senator, ule Mkenya ambaye alichagua mjumbe, ni yule Mkenya ambaye analipa kodi. Hakuna mtu ya Mandago, hakuna. Ule mtu analipa kodi kwa Mandago wa Singishu ni yule Mkenya ambaye analipa kodi ya serikali ya kitaifa. Kweli ama sio kweli? Si ni pesa zake? Jameni, kwa nini tushindane? Na ndipo tukasema mapema, tukiwa na ndugu yangu William, wacheni tukutane kama wanajubilee na tuseme, let us work together. Let us work together for the benefit of 40 million Kenyans. For the benefit of 40 million Kenyans. Na tukaomba wenzetu, nendeni mchague kiongozi wa Jubilee awe speaker wa Senate, ndio huyu Lusaka leo. Kiongozi ambaye sasa ako na experience ya kuwa governor. Si ni kweli? Anajua shida zenu na tabu zenu. Na ameongoza maseneta ambao pia wengine wenu mmekuwa pia magavana. Kweli ama sio kweli? Why can't we work together? Na ombi langu haswa kwa wanajubilee, sisi tumeamua ya kwamba kama serikali ya kitaifa tutafanya kazi hapa kwa hapa kupitisha kwa haraka mijadala mbalimbali ambayo inaungana na manifesto yetu kwa Senate na kwa bunge bila kushindana, ndio Wakenya waweze kuhudumiwa kwa haraka. Na mimi leo, wenzangu, viongozi wa mashinani, the true representatives of the people at the grassroots, nyinyi MCAs, jameni, hata nyinyi shikeni mikono magavana wenu. Mwapigania nini? Wananchi wameamua. Kama ni ndugu yangu Lonyangapuo amechaguliwa na KANU, si wananchi wameamua? Sasa hata wewe kiongozi wa West Pokot, hata kama wewe ni Jubilee, si huyu ndio kiongozi yako? Kwa nini mupigane jameni? Muunge mkono aweze afanye kazi. Mulete speaker ambaye atafanya kazi na yeye. Si ni namna hiyo wenzangu? Si ni namna hiyo? Hamna haja ya kupiga. Tunapigania nini? Kama ni ndugu yangu Nderitu huyu, basi wananchi wameamua independent. Watu wa Laikipia wengi walipigia Jubilee. Si ni kweli? Wenzangu wa Laikipia, hata kama mko Jubilee, huyu ndio governor ambaye wananchi wameamua jameni. Muunge mkono, mumchagulie speaker ambaye atafanya kazi na yeye, mupitishe mambo yake, na yeye pia awaheshimu nyinyi ma MCA. Au ni namna gani? Tuagombania nini? Sisi wote ni wamoja. Au ni namna gani jameni? Mkienda sasa ati mumeanza ugomvi, najua ule mimi sikuchagua, mimi huyu. Kwa sababu kati yenu kuna wajumbe wa KANU, kuna wajumbe wa independent, but we are all a Jubilee family. Can we not work together? Tafadhali, let us work together so that we can deliver for our people. Mumeona wengi wenu, wengi wameenda nyumbani kwa sababu ya hii kujifanya kupigana. Yasaidia nani? It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anybody. Na sisi kama familia ya Jubilee, vile Murkomen amesema hapa, sisi hatutawacha hata wale tulikuwa tunashindana na wao. Wapatieni vyeo huko chache, kwani shida iko wapi? Wewe Wairia, hata kama mlikuwa mnashindana, patia watu yake waingie ndani, wote walikuwa Jubilee. Au namna gani? Si namna hiyo? Wewe ndugu yangu Marsabit 1, hata hawa wengine walikuwa Jubilee. Wapatie vyeo huko, waingie, njoo tufanye kazi, kuja tuwe pamoja. Ndugu yangu Mandera, hata wewe unajua, unaelewa. Au namna gani jameni? Because they are all our people. Tusione ya kwamba kuna mtu amepotea. Na hata sisi tukimaliza kazi yetu, wale wote wengine tutabeba huko, tuweke Jubilee, hiyo namna hiyo. Au ni namna gani wenzangu? Na ndio kila mtu ajue ya kwamba we are a large family that leaves nobody behind. Sisi hatupigani, watu wa vita tunawajua. Lakini familia yetu ya Jubilee ni familia moja ambaye tunapendana, tunashindana, lakini bado tunapendana. Au namna gani wenzangu? Tumekubaliana haya? Mimi nawaomba, kwa sababu kutoka wiki ijayo mtaanza kazi ya kuapishwa, mtaanza kazi ya kuchagua maspika wenu. Mimi nawaomba tu, please, don't fight with your governors. Work with them. Work with them. Let us be partners to move forward the Jubilee agenda, to move forward our republic as one people. And I working in very close collaboration with your governors, will do everything I can to ensure we support your work on the ground. Tumekubaliana wenzangu? Yeah. Na sasa mko na senator hapa pale, ile mambo ya mabishano kati ya maseneta na magavana, yeye atajua njia ya kutuliza. Si namna hiyo? Si namna hiyo? Tufanye kazi hii pamoja. Nawaomba sana. Haya, hiyo nimemaliza. Hiyo ndio nilikuwa nimewaalika. Tuongee, tujadiliane. Na ndio tujipange wiki ijayo. Na nawaomba, hata kama sasa tunaendelea na mambo mengine, nyinyi mrudi mashinani kwanza, murekebishe na muanzishe serikali zenu za mashinani, na ndio kazi iweze kuendelea. Hatutaki kusikia sijui kaunti hii budget haijapitishwa, sijui kaunti hii haijafanyika. No. Swear yourselves in, chagueni maspika wenu, pitisheni budget. Tukienda Meru, Kiraitu ananiambia njoo nikuoneshe mpango ile tuko hapa. Tunaenda, tuko na maji huko tunafanya, lakini tunataka serikali ya kitaifa ituongezee damu nyingine pale. Sisi tunafanya namna hii, sisi badala ya mashindano. Si ni kweli? Asanteni. Sasa tuje yale ambaye yametukuta. Tuje yale ambaye ametukuta. Na tukija kwa haya, mimi nataka nichukue nafasi hii kwanza kuwashukuru nyinyi na kuwashukuru wa Kenya kwa amani. Na mimi wajua, wakati tulishinda, wenzetu wakaanza huko kulete furugu huko, mapigano, mabishano, vita, kuchoma taya kwa barabara, kupiga watu, kuchoma manyumba ya watu. Mimi nataka niwashukuru wana Jubilee na Wakenya kwa jumla. Wakati tumeshindwa, sisi tumetulia, tumesema tutamshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu na tuko tayari kwa waamuzi wa koti hii hata kama hatukubaliani naye. I thank you for peace. You have shown that we are a party that not only believes in unity, that not only believes in Kenya, but believes in peace. Kwa sababu hawa tutawahudumia yao baadaye. Lakini kitu cha muhimu kwanza ni amani. Asanteni sana. Kwa sababu bila nyinyi, kama mmoja wenu angeenda aanze kuhubiri huko shida taabu, si tungekuwa na taabu. Tumekuwa watulivu na tumesema tuheshimu sheria na tumesema tudumishe amani. Na kwa sababu sisi chama chetu ni cha kitaifa vile tumeonyeshwa hapa kwa introduction, sisi hatuna haja ya kupigana na kabila lolote. Sisi hatuna haja kupigana na dini yoyote, because we are all represented here. One party. Na mimi namshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu na nawashukuru nyinyi na nawashukuru wa Kenya. Na tuendelee kudumisha hiyo amani. Ya pili, kwa sababu nimesema ya kwamba hata kama tumeheshimu waamuzi, kuheshimu waamuzi sio kukubaliana na waamuzi. Tunaelewana? Sisi hatukubaliani na huo waamuzi. Na mimi nimeshangaa kwa sababu nafikiri Kenya ndio nchi ya kwanza duniani, nchi ya kwanza ambao watu wachache ambao hawazidi 6 na kati yao 3 au 4 wameamua ya kwamba hawa ndio wana uwezo kushinda wananchi milioni 15 ambao walijitokeza kwa amani, ambao waliamka mapema kupiga foleni waingize kura moja kwa moja kwa moja kwa moja kwa moja, na wakapiga kura 6. Kweli ama sio kweli? Si wengi wenu pia mlikuwa huko kila mtu kwa kituo chake? Kweli ama sio kweli? Na mlikuwa na maagency wenu huko kuangalia dunia inaenda namna gani? Kuna pahali ambapo mliona Wakenya wakipigana? Kuna pahali ambapo mliona Wakenya wakifurugana? In peace. Lining kupiga kura. Watu 4 ati ndio watakuja waseme kulikuwa technicality. Ati wananchi milioni 15 hawatarudia kura 6, watarudia kura 1. Sasa wewe jameni, hata ukiwa mjinga namna gani, jiulize. MCA amepigiwa kura, imekuwa transmitted. Mama County amepigiwa kura, imekuwa transmitted. Muna mtu ameuliza swali. Mjumbe amepigiwa kura, imekuwa transmitted. Kuna mtu amesema wameapishwa wote. Senator amepigiwa kura, imekuwa transmitted. Kuna mtu amesema lolote? Governor amepigiwa kura, imekuwa transmitted. Lakini kura ya rais iko na shida. Ati imekuwa transmitted. Iko na shida, transmission iko na shida. Na huyo mtu mwenyewe ndio ametuma majaji kila kona, 47 counties, ati kushuhudia kuapishwa kwa magavana. Wacha nicheke kwa sababu nafikiri kwa sababu ya hizo nguo wanavaa wanaona Wakenya wengine ni wajinga. Explain to me. Explain to me. Jamani. Haki, wacha tuseme tu ni wapenda amani, kwa sababu kama sio wapenda amani wangeona cha mtema kuni. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Mwenyewe mimi nilikuwa kwa my sister hapa Bomet, nimeona amevaa gauni mzima hapo, alikuwa na tumbo imekuwa imefika hapa. Akisimamia kusaini makaratasi ya Laboso. Lakini sasa and I have always said we have a problem with our judiciary, but regardless we respect, but we shall revisit. We shall respect, but we shall revisit this agenda. Oh yes, we shall. First and foremost, we shall address ourselves to the people of Kenya. Can you imagine? Even in America, which is supposedly the largest, the greatest democracy in the world. Wakati walishindana George Bush 2 na Al Gore, Supreme Court ya huko walienda wakasema kwanza, even before we discuss anything else, technicality kwanza, we are here to respect the will of the people. Wakaenda kuhesabu mpaka walikuwa wanatoa ile, walikuwa makaratasi ile, ati hii kura iko namna gani, to reject, to accept, to reject, because they knew as a Supreme Court they cannot overturn the will of the people. Lakini Maraga thinks he can overturn the will of the people. We shall show you in 60 days that the will of the people cannot be overturned by one or two individuals. Na tutakutana huko. Na wacha niseme na hasira kidogo, lakini kwa amani. Yeah? Tutarudi. Na tukishamaliza tutarevisit hii mambo yenu. Yeah. Na ndipo tunauliza kila saa, kila pahali tukienda. Jaji amesema tunafanya kazi hii, unakuja una block, unaweka injunction. Kwani unafikiria wewe umechaguliwa na nani? No, there's a problem and we must fix it. Going forward, we must fix it. We must fix that problem. We must fix that problem. Lazima turekebishe. Na ndipo tuwasema si tumekuheshimu wewe. Tumeagree. Umesema 60 days. Turudi kwa uchaguzi. Jubilee, we are ready. Na tunataka IBC watangaze siku. Na sasa kwa sababu tunasikia wenzetu ndio wamerudi kesi tena, sasa lazima tuwe na IBC mpya. Let me tell you. We've been here before. They chased out the old IBC. If they think we don't have that time, if you have accepted all the rest of the results, let us accept the ruling. Maraga, don't interfere. And don't think that because our friends shout and we keep quiet, that we are scared of you. No, we are not. We are not. You've done your ruling, we have respected it. Let IBC do their job. Let them declare the date. And Raila, let us meet at the ballot. Sini namna hiyo? We are not bothered with courts anymore. Court wamemaliza kazi yao. Wamesema turudie. Sini namna hiyo? Na wamesema IBC within 60 days. Bas. Tuwagojea debe. Na tuwataka siku itangazwe haraka. Yeah. Kama hawa watu wanataka UN, waende wafanye UN wawe agency wao. Wafanye yote, sisi hatujali. Wakitaka kuita nani, maserikali ya wazungu hao, wakitaka kuita hiyo, wakuje wa supervise. Wakuje wakue, wanaitwa nini? Monitors, wanaitwa nini? Observers. Lakini kura ifanywe na tume ambaye iko katika katiba la Kenya, na hiyo ni IBC. Waita hawa wazungu wote wakuje watembee huko, watembee na hawa. We don't care. We have nothing to hide. We have nothing to hide. All we want is for the will of the people to prevail. Na niwaambie, na niliambia Wakenya zamani ya kwamba wenzetu hawana haja na chaguzi. Wenzetu wanatafuta njia ya kuingia serikali kupitia mlango wa nyuma. Ati nusu mkate. Mimi nawaambia wenzangu leo waziwazi mchana, wenzangu, nusu mkate hata slice moja hakuna. Hakuna. Hata slice moja hakuna. Mkitaka shindeni uchaguzi. Wananchi waamue. Si namna hiyo wenzangu? Jameni, mko tayari kwenda kwa uchaguzi? Mtatusaidia mashinani, kila moja pahali ametoka. Mtatushikilia jameni. Mtatuunga mkono. Sisi tumeanza campaign kutoka leo. Na sisi tumerudi kwa wananchi. Na sisi tuendelea kuomba amani. lakini amani sio uoga. Amani sio ujinga. Amani ni kwa sababu sisi tuna imani na taifa letu la Kenya, tuna imani na Wakenya wetu, na kama viongozi wa chama cha kitaifa hatungependa kufanya lolote ambalo laweza kuumiza binadamu yeyote. Lakini wenzetu waniangalie kwa macho na wajue being a peacemaker sio kuwa bishop. Being desirous of Kenyans living together in peace and harmony sio kusema mimi ni muoga. What I don't want ni kuumiza. Na nisitafanya lolote la kuumiza Mkenya. Lakini wenzetu wasifikirie ya kwamba they have the capacity to intimidate because they can shout. Na mimi nawaambia kila moja sasa, tuende, hakuna mambo, tuende kuongea siasa. Hakuna kurudi nyuma, break. Hakuna break. Siasa. Nimewaachilia, nendeni kazi. Endeni kazi. Muko tayari jameni? Jubilee tuko tayari. Jubilee tuko tayari. Tukutane mashinani. Tukutane mashinani. Hebu nione kwa mikono ni wangapi wanasema tuko tayari kwa kazi. Mimi nasema Mungu awabariki. Mimi nasema Mungu awalinde. Mimi nasema Mungu atuweke kwa amani. Mimi nasema Mungu atupatie ushindi. Na vile tulisema tukiwa Nakuru, akitupatia ushindi, sisi kama wanajubilee tutasherekea ushindi, sio kwa namna yetu, lakini kwa sababu ya jina ya Mwenyezi Mungu. Mimi nasema Mungu awabariki. Hapa tumewaandalia chakula. Mimi nimeanza kazi leo. Kwa hivyo hii nyumba ni yenu. Hakuna mtu anawafukuza. Mtaandaliwa chakula hapa na mambo ya kuwafikisha nyumbani. Sawa sawa? Hakuna haraka. Yule mtu nitawaachia kazi hapa sasa.
President Uhuru Kenyatta there addressing Jubilee governors, MPs and MCAs at State House Nairobi. A tough-talking president telling his Jubilee members to continue with their work at the counties even as they prepare for the repeat presidential election in 60 days. He also thanked the Jubilee members, leaders and supporters for keeping the peace despite their loss at the Supreme Court. He said they respect the decision of the Supreme Court. However, they will revisit the agenda. We're still following the fire tragedy at the Moi Girls Secondary School in Kibera. A fire broke out at the dormitory that was housing Form 1 girls at 2 a.m. in the morning. We have the very latest coming from there. Leila Mohammed has been following the activities there as well as the injured who are at the Nairobi Women's Hospital. Rose Wangoi will give us an update from there. And a developing story from Sigoti Girls Secondary School where another fire broke out there. Oko Kusa has been keeping tabs on the activities there. We'll be following up with all of them after this short break. Keep it right here on Decision 2017. Tragic start to the weekend as 7 students lost their lives in a dorm fire at Moi Girls Secondary School in Kibera. Leaders have expressed condolences to the bereaved families, including Education Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i, who spoke earlier today while he paid a visit to the school, where he called for a speedy probe into what had transpired.
We have already asked the principal to send a message to your parents so that they can come and pick you up and go home with them so that you can take time to relax a bit. We will also find ways of compensating the time that you are going to lose in the process. So do not be worried about that. We had a very bad accident in your dormitory, and that dormitory is not going to be accessed because we have criminal investigations teams there. We have the police in their full capacity there. We have the government forensic teams led by the government, the chief chemist and the chief pathologist, because we want to get to the bottom of it. I also want to convey condolences from His Excellency the President, who is very saddened about what has happened and instructed us to be here. And he insisted that all the teams must be here and investigate that matter until we get the bottom of it. It was very sad. 10 of you were injured. They are admitted in hospital. 2 of them are a bit critical. The other 8, we have been assured by the doctors, are out of danger. We may actually have lost some of your colleagues in that fire. We are taking account of all of you, especially those who are sleeping in that dormitory, before we can know what exactly happened, but we have lost some of your colleagues. It is very sad and unfortunate. I want to send you condolences on my own behalf and on behalf of the ministry, and I want to tell you that we love you and we will still stand next to you and be with you even as we go through this particular tragedy. So I'll ask the governor to say a word, because we want to allow the parents to start processing to move out of the school with you. But let's with the principal that we are aware that there are some of you who come from very far and that the parents may not arrive in good time. You will be my responsibility. You will be in the school and we will take care of you until your parent comes. So do not be anxious at all. We will make sure that you are taken care of until your parent or your guardian comes to pick you from school, because each one of you is precious and very important to us. So, Governor.
We've inspected the school. We've assessed the damage. As you go home, know that you have our support. We are going to partner with the national government and your school as we do the renovation and reconstruction of the dormitories. We've learned a lesson. We are going to inspect other schools, both private and public schools in Nairobi. We must have sufficient exits from our dormitories to the main gate, to the main exits of all our schools in Nairobi County. And again, on behalf of all the residents of Nairobi County, on behalf of my county government, I wish to convey my condolences to all the bereaved families. May the Almighty God rest the souls of all the deceased in eternal peace. You have our support, and God be with you as you go home. Thank you very much.
And NASA leader Raila Odinga also visited the school, expressing dismay at the happenings which led to the loss of lives.
This is a school that is very well known to me. Remember, I used to be a member of parliament for this area, and I've done a lot of work for development in this school. So when I got this information, I was shocked. It's really shocking that we should lose 8 lives of young girls who are in high school here in this school, and that got a number are also in critical condition in other hospitals in the city. We all pray and wish them recovery. We would like to mourn with the parents who have lost their children in this great tragedy that has befallen this school. It is a great pity that we should lose such young Kenyans in this way. They have not yet established the cause of fire, seeing that the officials of the government are working around the clock. There are experts who are within the precincts there, carrying out a lot of investigations. And the area, as you can see, has been cordoned off for security because it's a scene of an accident. We hope that they're going to be able to come to the root cause of this accident. It is a big tragedy indeed. We're told that the fire started at night around 2 a.m. and nobody knows the cause of this fire. We, at this moment, don't want to speculate. We really want to leave it to the hand of experts to investigate and tell us the cause of this. You remember sometimes last year, we had these fires in schools in the country. We do not want to believe that it is something similar to this. I saw the Minister for Education here earlier on, and he gave an assurance that they were going to do everything possible to get to the root cause of this matter. I did not go into the building. I was allowed access up to somewhere around the building. So I can see that the building is burnt, the roof has caved in, but it's in the middle of that building. That's the one that was affected. It's a long building, double story, but it would appear that the fire started somewhere in the center of that building. They don't know, as was mentioned, how that fire started. It could be electric. It could have been caused by somebody smoking or whatever. It is a very, can you say, unpleasant scene to behold.
If you're in the school compound and your child has already been cleared, please leave the school. If you're in the school compound simply as a curious visitor, you're really trespassing now. Please allow us the dignity and the respect to take care of those families. Rebuilding a dormitory is not a big challenge. We will be able to do that through the cooperation of the ministry, the county government, but it will be very hard to get back their lives, and I think everybody can, out of fairness and human dignity, appreciate the trauma and the challenges that the families are facing, and that the presence of all these cameras and the attraction to this scene by the crowd is really just stopping us from getting on with the work that needs to be done. So I beg, I urge you, let's respect that. Let's clear out the school in the next 10 or 15 minutes and give a chance to those families to get the services they need as they look for their daughters and for the response agencies to finish their work.
And the 7 students of Moi Girls High School, Nairobi, have died in a blaze that consumed a dormitory in the school's compound shortly after midnight. We join NTV's Leila Mohammed live from the school for an update on the events there. Leila.
Well, at the moment, Chief Justice David Maraga is here in the school precincts. After having arrived about 30 minutes ago, he went straight to the office of the principal of the school, took some time there before exiting into this building behind, where he is meeting with some of the parents of those students who have been affected by this incident this morning. This having been a very sad day where we're seeing more and more leaders arriving here. This is the first time that parents are being allowed to go and view bodies of those who have died after having an altercation with police, those who were not able to find their children in the classrooms or in the hospitals. They were very frantic, and they were here having to fight off even Nairobi Commandant Japheth Kome, who also was here in another altercation with Pius Masai, the NMD Director of Communications, we were getting ready for a press conference before that altercation, and clearly Japheth Koome was not having any of that, insisting that the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, the acting for Interior, as well as the Cabinet Secretary for Education, that is Dr. Fred Matiang'i, had already spoken earlier in the day, and it is expected that he will also give another detailed explanation later in the day. So some of us are being very categorical in terms of getting information. However, according to the law enforcement officers, there was a breach of communication from this facility. So the new thing is that now parents are being allowed to view the bodies after identification had gone on. We know the pathologist and the government chemist were here at the dormitory just to get DNA sampling from those bodies for them to be able to relay who and who has died from this incident. Victoria.
All right, Leila, thanks for that update. We'll be checking back in with you once the Chief Justice David Maraga makes his remarks after speaking with the school administration. And to another story, a mysterious fire has burnt 2 dormitories at Sigoti Girls Complex in Nyakach, forcing the closure of the school for 2 weeks. The fire is said to have consumed one of the buildings last night and again this morning, displacing more than 160 students. We join NTV's Oko Okusa live from Sigoti Girls Complex. Tell us, Oko Okusa, what is the latest from there?
Yes, the latest from here, Vicky, is that all the students in this school have been sent home for at least 2 weeks from 1, 2, and 3, and also Form 4s have been sent on leave for like a week as investigation and also alternative accommodation arranged here. What is happening is that yesterday around 10 in the morning, according to some of the students we've spoken to, out one of
Apologies for that. We'll be getting back in touch with Oko Okusa for that update on the dorm fire in Sigoti Girls Complex. No word of any casualties there yet, but of course damage to property. Police are investigating the cause there, and we'll be relaying that information in our subsequent bulletins throughout the day. But President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto have slammed the Supreme Court's ruling that invalidated his win, saying it made a mockery of the will of the people. President Kenyatta says the judiciary has always had a problem, which his administration intends to revisit should he get the backing of the Kenyan people in the repeat election ordered by the Supreme Court. We join NTV's Edmond Yabola live from a state house. An angry tone running through the president and deputy president's addresses there. Edmond, tell us more in your brief of what he said.
A very livid President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto addressing members of County Assembly and governors elected on the Jubilee ticket on during the August 8th election, talking about a wide range of issues. In fact, I narrowed them down to 4 specific issues that they addressed today. The first one indeed was the issue of the judiciary. While they say they respect the decision of the court yesterday, they are saying they do not agree with it and that they will go back to the polls as ordered by the court after 60 days, and they will humiliate the court and indeed the people who believed in what the court said. That is, of course, the opposition, the National Super Alliance, and also a stinging attack on the members of the judiciary and specifically the Supreme Court, who made the ruling yesterday that there will be fresh elections, or at least at the presidential level. They are saying in specific words, Deputy President William Ruto said, "We accept it, but after this, you have had your day, we will have our day. We will have our day after we go back to the polls." Those were the specific words of Deputy President William Ruto. And President Uhuru Kenyatta, talking about the Supreme Court, said, "We will fix it." His exact words, "We will fix it." And of course, Majority Leader in the National Assembly, Aden Duale, saying that we know there are sympathizers of the opposition across government institutions and other arms of government. Judiciary and other commissions as well. They are saying after the polls, we will deal with that. The other issue that came about, Vicky, was the issue, of course, of the composition of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, the IEBC. While NASA says they will not go back to the polls with the IEBC as currently constituted, Jubilee here insists that it is this same IEBC that will in fact oversee the polls in 60 days' time as ordered by the court. They are saying if NASA have a problem and go to the streets to demand the removal of the current office, they will as well demand the removal of the judiciary. The judges and the justices of the judiciary led by Maraga, of course. That is what they are saying. So we are looking at a very rough time within the 60 days as we head into the next polls, because if NASA go forth with their quest to remove the IEBC officials, the commissioners and indeed the members of the secretariat, then Jubilee here say they will also push for the removal of Justice Maraga and the other 6 judges on the bench of the Supreme Court following yesterday's ruling. The other thing, of course, meeting the MCAs and elected governors here, it was a rallying call for them to prepare for another round of battle, being that they have been elected. Right now, they should go back, start working for the people. But once the date is announced, President Uhuru Kenyatta said, I will come to you on the ground and we will start the process of asking for votes again. Deputy President William Ruto as well saying, you have had your win, it's about time. You extended a hand of gratitude to the party, campaign for the president and, of course, the deputy as we go to fresh elections as well. The other issue, of course, that came out of this was that they are maintaining that they won the election right from the MCAs all the way to the top seat, which is the presidency, by huge margins. In fact, they singled out every single seat, elective seat that there was on during the August 8th elections and said they won it with at least 54% across all of them. 54% across all of them, going upwards, of course, up to 68 or 70% thereabout regarding some other seats. They are saying we won that election fair and square, but because we are peace-loving people, we are people who believe in the rule of law, we accept the decision of the court and will go back to the people to ask for votes in another round of voting in 60 days. And in the exact words, we will humiliate the Supreme Court and indeed the National Super Alliance. So we are looking at a very rough time going forth into the fresh elections as called by the Supreme Court yesterday. Because, first of all, even before we lay down a roadmap that leads to the fresh elections to be held in 60 days, one thing that will sure, dominate headlines as we go forth is the issue of the composition of the IEBC. NASA and, of course, the enjoined parties yesterday, Ekuru Aukot said they want the United Nations to come and oversee the next elections. President Uhuru Kenyatta says that will not happen. It will be the IEBC as currently constituted, led by the chairman Wafula Chebukati and, of course, the head of the secretariat, the CEO Chiloba, Ezra Chiloba, saying that they are the ones who will oversee the elections. If you want the UN, if you want the foreign governments to help you, the foreign missions and all of them, let them come, walk with them around the country, let them help you in terms of observing the elections. But it is the IEBC as currently constituted that will oversee the elections in 60 days, Victoria. So 4 issues, very critical issues after yesterday's ruling that we saw here, of course, from the president, the deputy president, the leader of majority in the National Assembly, Aden Duale, and of course, majority leader in the Senate, Kipchumba Murkomen as well.
Hey, Edmund, before I let you go, what was the reaction of the governors, the MCAs, the MPs who were present listening to the president's remarks? Of course, central to his message to them was get back to work despite our loss at the Supreme Court. But if you managed to speak to any of them in their reactions to his remarks and message to them?
We've spoken to a few, and even before we spoke to them, while the president and the deputy and of course all the other speakers were on the podium giving their speeches, shouts of acclamation all through as they made their points. I'm sure you heard that during our live transmission of that event. Shouts of acclamation. They're saying we are ready. Even if the president is asking us to go to work, we can't assume that all is done and that now we can rest on our laurels and wait, for another election in 60 days. We are going to put in our part. We are going to work to make sure that President Uhuru Kenyatta is re-elected into office whenever the elections are called, of course, within the 60 days as is determined in the Constitution. But what they're talking about is they believe that President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto won the election fair and square, clean. All these things about the Supreme Court, which they refer to as contesting the process rather than the result, which is basically the numbers that came out of the election. They're saying that the numbers will remain the same. In fact, they're even confident it will be bigger this time around, not the 54% that we saw on August of the 8th of August. They're saying it will be even bigger because they're going down there. They have no other responsibilities in terms of campaigning for themselves. They will be campaigning for the president, and they are confident that this time round they will win with an even bigger margin. So they're saying their job is well cut out. The president has called them to duty in terms of campaigning for the party and supporting the party all through as they go forth, as we look forward to another round of elections. Victoria.
Okay, great. Thanks, Edmond Yabola, for that very comprehensive recap of the president's remarks at State House. Let's cross back over to Nyakach, to Sigoti Girls Secondary School, where 2 dormitories were razed down by a fire this morning and last night as well. Oko Kusa with the very latest on what's happening now. Of course, investigations going on to investigate or find out the cause of the fire. Oko, what more can you tell us?
Victoria, there's nothing much as at now. What is happening is that police have already launched investigations into what could have caused the 2 fires. Remember, there are 2 fires that have happened here in less than 24 hours. The first one occurred yesterday at around 8 in the morning when the students were in class. And less than 24 hours later, before the smoke could settle on that one, this morning at around 10, when the students were out fetching water from a nearby pond, another fire broke out, burning this dormitory you're seeing behind me. According to the students, it's holding around 130 students in this particular building, and all of those students have currently been displaced, same to the 70 who are residing in the other building behind this one, which got burnt yesterday. So we are talking of around 200 students who have been displaced. The administration has taken a drastic action by closing down the school for close to 2 weeks for Form 1, 2, and 3 classes, and they expect the Form 4s to be back here after a week after they have arranged for alternative accommodation. So that is what is happening now. A lot of parents came here in the morning, to concerned parents, that is, to find out the safety of their children. Nearly all the students have left the school, save for a few who are still here and there trying to salvage whatever property that they could pick. Remember, students have lost nearly all of their personal effects that were being held, accommodated in those particular buildings I've spoken about. They've lost books, they've lost study learning materials. So even some of the beds there have been burnt up. So there's a lot of damage that have occurred here. The Kisumu County Fire Brigade that responded to the alarm here yesterday, and this morning, arrived late after the students had put out the fire. So that is what is happening now. Fortunately, none of the students has got injured during the incident, and therefore we have not experienced any sort of injuries here, Victoria.
All right, thanks, Oko Okusa, giving us an update on that fire incident in Nyakach. We'll be following new developments from that area, as well as the Moi Girls fire tragedy. Now, Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu has joined other leaders allied to the National Super Alliance in welcoming the Supreme Court's nullification of the presidential election, in which Uhuru Kenyatta was declared winner against his closest challenger, Raila Odinga. Speaking at a burial in Kalambani village in Muda Ward, Kitui South, Ngilu lauded the court for restoring Kenyans' lost faith in the judiciary, besides bestowing them a second chance to express their democratic will. She also urged all NASA supporters across the country to turn out in their numbers and vote for Odinga during the repeat poll ordered by the court within the next 60 days. And in the county of Uasin Gishu, some residents took to the streets of Eldoret town on Friday to express their displeasure with the Supreme Court's judgment invalidating the re-election of President Uhuru Kenyatta. The residents expressed their dismay with the Supreme Court's decision, as Lois Wangoi reports.
Olao Street was the meeting point of those unhappy with the Court of Appeal's judgment that nullified the re-election of President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto.
Tulipiga kura, tulipiga kwa njia ya amani na Uhuru Kenyatta akashinda. Ndio sababu Jubilee iko na wajumbe wengi kushinda chama. Sikuona hiyo ruling ilikuwa fair. Haikuwa fair sababu sisi tumemaliza kura.
Haiwezi ikasemekana kura haikupigwa mzuri. Ikiwa Jubilee ako na 153 votes na NASA ako na 119, ni nani aliongoza?
They expressed themselves by way of chanting anti-Raila Odinga slogans and carrying placards in support of President Uhuru Kenyatta. They expressed their displeasure with the day's ruling.
Lakini wameanza maneno ya kitendawili. Hapa Wasingishu hatujakubali. Bunge nimekarasirika sana. Baba yetu ni Uhuru, hakuna mtu mwingine. Hii wase wawili Raila na Kalonzo amesomba sisi hapa.
Residents say they will sustain political energies to the very day of going to the ballot box again to vote for their favorite candidates Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto.
Hata hii election ikirudiwa, tunawaambia watu wa NASA tutapita na 80% round hii na tuchezi.
Na wale pia wenye kura ziliharibika ama wenye wako kuja siku hiyo wakuja kwa wingi, tupigie Uhuru wetu kura na tunajua atashinda 100%.
The police ensured sanity and smooth running of activities within the town all afternoon.
Kote kama ameamua vile ameamua, tutarudia uchaguzi na Uhuru tena atashinda 70+1.
Lois Wangoi, NTV, in the county of Uasin Gishu.
And Garissa Muslims joined the rest of the world on Friday in celebrating the Eid al-Adha holiday, which comes at the end of the annual Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca in Saudi Arabia.
Allahu Akbar. Faithful across Garissa attended morning prayers at General Muhammad Ground. Thousands of people were in attendance at the prayers to mark the occasion. Muslims leaders urged the people to live in peace with each other and respect the ruling of the Supreme Court.
The people of Garissa County, they must live peace and harmony together.
Eid al-Adha is one of the two major annual celebrations for the Muslims population and is also known as the Feast of Sacrifice. Help organizations slaughtered animals such as sheep and goats. The meat is a donation to the poor so that they can celebrate with their families.
We are slaughtering this as well for the poor, for the needed people, so that they are able to celebrate with all other Muslims all over the country.
With a range of activities, it was an ideal day out for children. Eid al-Adha honors Abraham's willingness to sacrifice his son on the order of God. Muslims mark the Eid al-Adha by slaughtering animals. Salah Muhammad, NTV, Garissa.
And that's the very latest from the NTV newsroom at this hour. Thanks for watching. I'm Victoria Rubediri, the very latest from the sporting world. Coming up next on Top Sport. Stay tuned.